Acer's Aspire 3 laptop has plodded along almost unchanged over several generations of hardware, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's an effective, simple budget laptop that comes at a low starting price. At this budget level, the priority is simple: getting a machine that works. The Acer Aspire 3 checks that box, even if it doesn't have a lot of wiggle room. More capable laptops come in just above it in price, like the Lenovo IdeaPad Flex 5i and Dell Inspiron 15, which are intermittently on sale for $500. Small internal hardware updates have been sliding into the otherwise consistent exterior of the Aspire 3 line for years. Carrying that torch, the Acer Aspire 3 has a bit of aluminum on the display lid and keyboard deck, though I can't say it feels much better than plastic, lending little rigidity to the display. Plus, with the plastic bottom, the whole system's a little more bendable than you'd expect a laptop to be. The hinge is a bit sticky, so even though the lid can be opened with one hand, the base of the laptop will start to lift up as the display opens up, making it a two-hand job in the end. Fortunately, once the laptop is opened up, it has slightly better physical utility. It sits firmly on 4 rubber feet that prevent it from sliding around, and since it's so firmly planted, the display avoids any noticeable wobbling. The keyboard is best described as fine, with keys that almost feel convex and have uneven travel if pressed on the corners. This makes centering my fingers on the keys and keeping them there while typing fairly difficult. Acer clusters the arrow keys tightly, making for tiny up and down keys something of a laptop-making sin. Acer also includes a not quite full number pad. It's got the numbers all in order, but it doesn't have the right column with a large plus and enter key. Instead, it squeezes plus and minus above the numbers and crams enter down in the bottom with 0 and the decimal key. In fairness, it's better to have a so-so number pad than no number pad at all. Not all 15-inch laptops include them. The keyboard lacks backlighting though, which is a worse offense. Since Acer is effectively reusing the same black and silver design, it's little surprised that the Acer Aspire 3 looks rather dated. A blocky design comes alongside thick display bezels that fall well behind the trend toward narrower and narrower bezels. Even in some budget products, the result is a laptop that's a little larger than need be. For instance, the Dell Inspiron 15 fits the same 15.6-inch 16:9 screen into a laptop measuring 0.83 by 14.1 by 9.3 inches, but the Acer Aspire 3 measures 0.75 by 14.3 by 9.4 inches. Despite having a low-power CPU, the Acer Aspire 3 has a several-inch wide exhaust vent above the keyboard for active cooling. I'd be careful about spilling drinks or dropping crumbs around this laptop, as the vertical exposure of the vent makes it extra easy to drop things in. The CPU and RAM aren't the only internal upgrades though. The system includes a Wi-Fi 6 card with 2x2 MIMO for steady internet connectivity. It also has an HDMI 2.1 port for 4K output. Acer backs up those connections with 2 USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A ports and a USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type C port that also supports charging. You'll also find a headphone jack and lock slot on the right side of the laptop. The webcam is just 720p, but you shouldn't expect much more for this price. Images look rather soft, but the sensor does a fair job brightening up the pictures in an otherwise dim room. Despite the large surface area of the Acer Aspire 3, its speakers are on the underside and port out of the front edge. This will see them obstructed when you use the laptop on your lap, an ironic outcome. You'll likely find nothing remarkable about the design of the human interface on this machine. The touchpad is decently large, but not among the smoothest I've used. It also takes a strong press to get it to click down. The short travel of the keys on the keyboard and the poppy membranes make for fast typing, but the convex design is an issue for accuracy. Acer's display is just serviceable. The contrast and 1080p resolution are enough for everything to appear clearly, but the 16:9 aspect ratio is better suited to an entertainment device than a work machine, and this laptop falls solidly into the latter camp. We've compared the Acer Aspire 3 with a number of low-priced laptops to provide some perspective on how its performance stacks up. The Dell Inspiron 15 3525 is a budget model that's built to serve a similar role. Meanwhile, a suite of Lenovo laptops round out the rest of the competition with the Lenovo IdeaPad Windows Duet 5i, the Lenovo IdeaPad 3i, and the Lenovo IdeaPad Flex 5i. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, because of the particularly low price of the Aspire 3 model tested, most competition either lacked comparable performance for the same price or produced similar performance for a higher price. That is to Acer's advantage. The Acer Aspire 3 is nothing special. It's a lower power machine that can get simple work done and nothing much else. I wouldn't recommend it for entertainment or anything beyond basic web browsing and light office tasks, but it handles those latter tasks with surprisingly little difficulty, and it runs for ages on its battery thanks to its low power processor. If you can get it for $379, it's a decent value. However, when you're already spending $400, it makes sense to jump up to $500 by either saving or financing. While the $499 model is more readily available, and though it might be more powerful, it doesn't compare with what's offered by recommended competitors in the budget space like the Lenovo IdeaPad 3i15 or the Lenovo IdeaPad Windows Duet 5i.